Athletes call for Skip Bayless to be fired after his sick DeMar Hamlin tweet. NFL players, NBA players, and retired pro athletes are calling for Skip Bayless to be fired for comments he made in the aftermath of Bills safety DeMar Hamlin suffering cardiac arrest on the field during Monday Night Football, which, by the way, like this situation, I don't think has really ever happened in NFL history. So after the Bills Bengals game was suspended in Cincinnati, the undisputed host took to Twitter to chime in on the situation. No doubt the NFL is considering postponing the rest of this game, but how? Bayless tweeted as medical personnel tended to Hamlin on the field in Cincinnati. This late in the season, a game of this magnitude is crucial to the regular season outcome, which suddenly seems so irrelevant. Now, here's the thing, right? You could tell from this segment right here is him basically also trying to like say like, hey, like none of this really matters other than just the guy that was injured, right? But the problem when you tweet something, you don't really express tonality, right? So like basically someone saying like, oh, that guy, a good way to put it is like that stuff is sick, right? Like that statement, that stuff is sick. If you just see that and read it, that can mean bad or good. But depending on your tonality, like if you were to say something out loud, like, oh, that thing is sick, right? Or that thing is sick, right? You could tell the difference where, like, one is obviously in terms of, like, awesome, but the other one is pretty obvious, like, it means something negative. And this is a problem. Like, people need to pretty much just stop tweeting, but basically, at the very least, make it point A to point B as to what you're trying to portray in your tweet so that there's no miscommunication. Because a lot of people are just going to skim through this, which they did, and basically just attack them over it, right? So Bayless appeared on the Fox Sports debate show Tuesday morning without his co-host Shannon Sharp. Bayless said he looks forward to seeing Sharp on Wednesday. Bayless' Monday night tweet drew immediate backlash with NFL players, including Jets cornerback Sauce Gardner and free agent wideout Dez Bryant, firing back at the Fox host. Are you seriously talking about when the football game should be postponed? DeMar Hamlin's health is all that matters at the moment, nothing else. And again, right, let's reread his comment. No doubt the NFL is considering postponing the rest of the game, but how? This late in the season, a game of this magnitude is crucial to the regular season outcome, which suddenly seems so irrelevant. Again, yeah, he makes like a mention to like this is probably what the NFL is going to have to deal with, but also at the same time, none of that really matters in this moment, which is what he's trying to portray. Which, if you were to just read it and just like take a couple seconds to actually like absorb what he tweeted, you could kind of tell that's what he meant. But again, after something like this just happened, there's going to be a lot of people who are emotional, a lot of people who are just going to misread it or misunderstand it, and then just go on the attack. And like this is just like a really sad thing because instead of it being a situation where you're focusing on the dude that actually got injured, now people are just paying attention to a host of a show and his tweet and attacking him for not really any decent reason. This person says, oh, Des Bryant says, we need to cancel at Roll Skip Bayless ASAP. Which, by the way, Des Bryant, what, you got a CryptoPunk monkey. Well, not CryptoPunk, but some whatever NFT monkey thing. It's just, come on. Are you seriously talking about when the football game? Blah, 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 la, 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 la. Okay, so. Meanwhile, Bryant shared a number of tweets slamming Bayless. We need to cancel at World Skip Bayless ASAP, Bryant wrote, adding in another tweet, F you, Skip Bayless, all exclamation point, and well, basically all caps. Ba-ba-ba-bum. Isaiah Thomas, I hope they fire you, bro. For you to even think of the game is very sad. More pro athletes continue to express displeasure with Bayless' tweet. Free agent NBA point guard Isaiah Thomas, blah, 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 blah. ESPN NBA analyst Kendrick Perkins wrote, You're a sick individual, real talk. And here's the thing, you're an ESPN NBA analyst, but you're too stupid to actually read the full tweet. And actually understand it. You shouldn't be an analyst if you can't even read and understand a tweet. Hall of Fame wide receiver Terrell Owens reposted Bayless' tweet to Instagram and said, It is the most despicable tweet ever, adding, I hope you lose your job. Former NBA champion Matt Barnes commented under Owens' post, writing, Someone gonna slap the S out of Skip one of these days. Which, again, all of these people is as if they just simply cannot read the tweet in its full context, even though they retweet it. Like, you can read the full thing. Literally in it, he basically says none of this really matters because obviously what happened to the guy. So Bayless then apologized in a separate tweet, writing Monday night, Nothing is more important than that young man's health. That was the point of Malley's last tweet, which I agree, that is the point of his tweet, right? I'm sorry if that was misunderstood, but his health is all that matters. Again, everything else is irrelevant. I prayed for him, and I will continue to. Now, here's the thing, right? If you're Skip Bayless, or if you're one of these guys who are like a host or whatnot, right? One, you've already made enough money to where you got basically FU money, right? That's the reality. Let's actually quickly search this up, right? How rich is Skip Bayless, right? Let's see. Okay, let's just check this. Skip Bayless net worth. Nope, can't find the page. Okay. We're just gonna Skip Bayless net worth 2022. Sure. 17 million. Salary is 5 million a year. Okay? He's got FU money. As long as you're not a literal moron with your money, he's got FU money. Okay? By the way, he also has a brand and audience and all that kind of stuff. The best option in terms of what you should do, right, in my opinion, if I was Skip Bayless, I would have just been hey, all of you people are a bunch of morons who can't read a stupid tweet. Because what he put in that tweet obviously references that the NFL is going to have to probably deal with the situation in terms of the season, but none of that really matters at the moment, right? That's the meaning of his tweet, right? And it takes basic reading comprehension to understand what his tweet meant, right? Now, I do understand that people might just skim over it and basically be like, hey, they just misunderstood it. They didn't catch on to that last part that actually showed the meaning of his tweet. But it's still, at the same time, when you're making 5 million a year, or that you've made over, or that your net worth is supposedly over 15 million, right? After a certain point, you got to be like, hey, F all of you. I know what I said. This is literally the meaning of this. And if you guys can't understand that, then you're just stupid, right? And then just move on with your day. And even if you got fired, whoop de doo, you got nearly almost $20 million. Like, you could pretty much do nothing for the rest of your life and be a okay, right? Like, the thing that always bothers me is that, like, a lot of these super wealthy individuals pretty much have no spine, right? Let's see. Bills safety Damar Hamlin went into cardiac arrest during Monday Night Football against the Bengals. Ba 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 ba. So let's see. Prior to his controversial tweet about postponing the game, Bayless did say that he said a prayer for Hamlin and his family. Not exactly sure what happened to Damar Hamlin, Bayless tweeted amid the tragic scene on Monday night. Players on both teams are shaken. Ambulance out on the field. CPR administered. Can't remember play being stopped for this length of time. Just said a prayer for him and his family. Crazy. He continued, I've seen so many horrific injuries suffered on football fields, yet never have I seen a reaction like this. In every other situation I witnessed or covered, the game always went on fairly quickly. The attitude was, hey, that's football. And for these players, this was different. According to the Bills, Hamlin is sedated and listed in critical condition at the University of Cincinnati Medical Center, where the second year safety was transported by ambulance. The Bills Bengals game was postponed after Hamlin collapsed on the field in the first quarter after making a hard tackle on Bengals receiver T. Higgins. The 24-year-old initially got up after the hit and appeared disoriented before falling to the ground on his back. CPR was performed on Hamlin on the field after his collapse, and his heartbeat was restored on the field before he was transferred to the UC Medical Center for further testing and treatment. Jordan Rooney, the CEO of sports marketing agency Jester Athletes, who is Hamlin's marketing representative and friend, provided an update on Twitter Monday night. Hamlin's vitals are back to normal and they have put him to sleep to put a breathing tube down his throat. They are currently running tests, Rooney wrote. The University of Cincinnati Medical Center did not anticipate making any statement early Tuesday, and on Tuesday's installment of Fox Undisputed, Bayless apologized for discussing regular sports topics with Hamlin's life still in jeopardy. I'll admit up front, I'm still shook up by what happened last night to Damar Hamlin, Bayless said. In fact, I'm still wrecked. In fact, I'm not sure I'm capable of doing this show today. After barely sleeping on it, I decided to give it a try. We wrestled through much of the night whether to even do a show today because it felt like in our minds we almost can't win with this because the last thing we want to try to do is come off as insensitive to what this young man is going through in a life or death situation. The last thing we want to do is offend anyone by trying to do what we always do, which is talk about sports. And here's the thing. I wish the best for Damar Hamlin. I hope he gets through it without any long-lasting injuries. And the sad reality of his situation now is that this could change the course of his life. And what I mean by this, if you stumble upon this, if you have been like a fan of sports in general, or like NFL athletes or NBA athletes or whatever, right? It is very wildly known that NFL players, pro athletes, etc., are extremely bad with their money on average. So if Damar Hamlin is one of those people who was really bad with their finances, if this injury causes him not being able to play anymore, that could lead to like a massive destruction towards his future. like financially speaking. And obviously, the most important thing right now is obviously his life and that he's okay and healthy. That is the number one worry. But the reality is, what happens after he recovers? How much use does he have of his body? Can he even handle the burden of being a pro athlete anymore? Right? Can he handle the size that he is anymore? Right? Can he carry all that muscle anymore? Right? Like this is the thing because like having like a cardiac arrest, like having some sort of damage to your heart, if it's permanent, is a very serious situation that he's going to have to deal with, right? And so if there are long-lasting effects, which is probably likely because again it's the heart, he might be completely screwed for the rest of his life, financially speaking, if he was bad with his money. I hope that he spent very little of his money. I hope that he put money towards investments that would provide him of some sort of income. And I also hope that the NFL takes care of him as well, because he is an athlete underneath their organization. So I really hope that as well. But this is the thing. If you are a pro athlete or if you are someone where your job or your career, your source of income is directly correlated to you using your body physically, then get really good health insurance, manage your money, okay, and also structure your finances and investments to where if something were to happen to your body where you could not physically do the job that you were doing, right? That you physically could not do the career that you were doing, that you would still somehow like able to provide yourself with some sort of income, whether through like real estate with rents, whether it be through like index funds and you get paid like a dividend, right? Or you just put money into like US treasuries and get like a return on that, like whatever it is, that you have your money in a somewhat safe place that is able to provide you with some sort of income. It doesn't have to be a lot of income, but enough for you not have to necessarily work in that situation, right? Because like I hope everything is okay with Damar Hamlin, but a lot of these athletes need to understand that they need to manage their money in a specific way so that if something like this does happen and there is severe long lasting effects, that they could still live a good quality of life even after it, right? And I always get worried anytime I see something happen to a pro athlete because I'm like, I really hope that you manage your money because if you like broke your arms, if you broke your legs, if you broke part of your spine, you're potentially screwed for the rest of your life if you didn't take care of your money. Let's see some of these comments. Let's see. I'm sure that some random guy dies at lots of football games and nobody cares. I feel as much for those guys as some player that I don't know. Interesting point. Let's see. If only there was this much of an outpouring of grief and compassion for the Pennsylvania police chief killed yesterday. I didn't even know that happened. Sucks for that police chief. I guess the skip hit the fan. I have always loathed Skip with a passion, but shockingly he was right for once. Players are knocked out of games all the time, but they don't stop and postpone the games. Remember Joe Theismann's leg being oh my goodness. Remember Joe Theismann's leg being snapped in half. Pretty horrific. It isn't just a game anymore. Millions of dollars and quite a few minorities' livelihoods are at stake. Football is the core of these athletes' lives. Besides sports broadcasting, a great number of them have no skills, which is also something that I really worry about. So, when an extremely important game is cancelled and a lot of careers are affected, although I thoroughly enjoyed another SJW being excoriated and. Oh, okay, interesting. The NFL players are paid per game played. Tell them they're going to miss a game check, and I bet at least some of them would change their tune. That is also something, if that is the case, because I know like the way that NFL players get paid is like really screwy because also depending on where you played also changes what kind of taxes that you're basically liable for. Yeah, okay. Feel free to give your thoughts on this. It's just that to me, the best thing to really learn from the situation was one, hope he's okay, but two, if your job or career relies on your body to a heavy extent, set your finances up in a way that you're going to be okay if something were to happen to your body to where you could not work that job, that career anymore. If you want to learn how to get out of debt, go down below or go to 40inbox.com.